Hey everybody, how are you today? This is Ken Faulkner. Got a knife video, bunch of knives, all made in China too. We're going to talk about it. I know that this can be controversial, and I did just go through my 3 straight lengthy videos on all my USA made knives in my collection. It's Saturday morning, and I'm trying to wake up. I already had some coffee, and then paying tribute to Tim's School of Fish with the Purple Monster drink. Just need a little extra today. What happened is, I don't normally get sick. I've been at work and all that, but my girlfriend got sick, and then I got a little something, but it's just not. I'm not like full blown sick. I mean, you kind of tell my voice and all that, but I am feeling a little bit lethargic, so to speak. So trying to wake up here so I can do a good video to the best of my ability in my style, talking about collecting knives, and that's kind of a big part of this channel, collecting knives. And then here are some from the collection, and we got actually 2 categories here, even though they're all made in China. We have some on the bottom that are U.S. based companies getting designs made or having knives OEMed in China, and on the top row is just Chinese-based companies having making their own knives and putting it out under their brand. And as I was going through trying to collect these from my spreadsheet, I did notice that a vast majority of my Chinese knives, at least especially up in this area, are designed and under a brand from the U.S. or somewhere adjacent. U.S. adjacent, is that something you can say? Because I'm not researching everybody. I don't have all the statistics. But I think that these are all brands from our U.S. brands that OEM in China. So if I was wrong on anything, just let me know. I don't mind. I like to hear because I like to learn, but I don't like to spend a lot of time studying stuff. So if you just tell me, then then that'll help me to figure this stuff out. So I hear not on my comments because everybody's very, very nice. I mean, in general, for the most part, very nice. But I hear other people complain about people getting on their channels when they show a knife from China and saying, "Well, this China junk or China garbage or whatever." And these are obviously some higher end knives, price wise. They're getting up in that $250 to $350 range. I don't know if anything's over that. Yeah, that's basically what we got here. So, I mean, there's a lot of money involved here. We got a lot of good materials. I mean, we're not seeing a big disparity. Is that a word? Difference in the types of materials and things like that. And these are all good knives, in my opinion. So, do people really feel that way? Do they hold an American knife in their hand and hold a Chinese knife in the other hand and say, man, this one is 20 times better than this one. I'm just going to throw this one out, and I don't need to have anything to do with it. I don't know if that's honest, to be honest. In my opinion, of course, opinions are different, but it's kind of hard to say that. Let's go with the WE knife. That WE knives have bad quality or bad materials or the construction, how they make them. In fact, a lot of people will talk about Chinese knives and say they're too perfect, and that's the reason why they don't like them. Especially if you get into the custom game. I mean, the custom knives, you get all the hand quality, and there is a lot of good related to that. There is more artistry and things like that rather than programming a machine and having everything precision. I know because I do CAD work for a living, I make not knives, but I know that when I design something, it has a lot of piping and things like that, and it's perfect. Everything fits 100% perfect. But when they go to build the stuff, it doesn't quite, because they are doing it by hand. It's not like a machine putting it together. It's not some precision machine. Things are going to have tolerances. And that's a terminology that you use. And I think that the tolerances are taken out a little bit more with Chinese knives, depending on how they make them. But I guess that's something that I've heard from people, and I could see that it's true. But WE does really good work, and it's consistent. You can debate on whether or not it's worth the price, or their style is what you like. I only have one WE knife, and I got it on the secondary at a good price. I like their knives, but sometimes that price range, and I don't know, there may be a stigma in my head on that kind of thing, that it is from a Chinese company, Chinese made from a Chinese company. I've talked in the past about being influenced, and I know that I am. I try to be open-minded, try to think for myself. This is the Riot baby machine. I love that name. I love that name. I like the fact that it's got divots in it, but it's not speed holes. What is it about speed holes? Well, maybe I could do a whole nother video about that. And I know a lot of people don't mind, but man, it seems like a lot of knives. But that's not what we're talking about today. This is a very cool design from Riot, and I think most people, the majority of people, say that Riot has incredibly good quality on their knives. I mean, the action. I mean, it's not like they're just machining it well. They're also making a design that is a quality design. The action is good, so the functionality of it is really good. Don't have a ton of Riot knives, but I do have a few more than the WE knives, especially because they've been putting out a couple of lesser cost. Now, like I would say, that I have like 2/3 of my knives are Chinese knives, but then probably the majority of them are in that $50 to $150 to $200 range. They really make great knives in that range for sure. The Chinese companies, and they put them out and they just pump them out. There's so many. Ramet, they kind of, I don't know, they are not quite like the Civivis and the other types of knives. You know me and names. Because they have a little bit more of a higher end feel to them. This one's really cool, and it's got this really cool pivot lock, Peregrine Falcon, nice flame anno, all these kind of features and things like that. So, yeah, but they're definitely a Chinese company. If you want to buy it from them, you're going to wait for it to come from China. If you get it direct from their factory, if you don't go to like a Blade HQ or something like that, and that drives me nuts waiting all that time. Kungwu, Chinese knives, but they make some really, really good quality knives. And so, I mean, I think if you take all Chinese knives in general, you're probably lower quality. But in this example, even Miguron does have a lot of more budget knives, but they also do some of these higher end knives. So, like I say, I think in general maybe they're quality because they pump out so many of the budget ones, but there are good companies out there. Man, I guess I haven't picked this one up for a while. I gotta, how sometimes you buy a knife and you pick it up and you've been carrying other knives and you don't carry it that much, and then you realize that there's some knives you just put it in your hand and it just goes. I mean, it just naturally, anytime you pick it up, this baby machine's kind of like that. It flicks out no problem. But some knives you kind of have to get used to. Even American-made knives as well. That Mies was a lot like that, especially until the detent wore in. But this one's such a big, heavy blade, you have to kind of get down a little bit lower in that slot. It's not that you can't do it. You just kind of have to know how to do it. And if you're trying to do it, just pick it up and go. If I'm up higher on the slot, it's just maybe a strong detent. I just can't get it, but I get down lower on it, and it's no problem. So anyway, that's another sidebar. That's probably why my videos end up being long. RS Chaos, this is actually a U.S. Custom maker designer working with the Chinese company, and but it is still, only the design is coming from the U.S. It's not being sold by a company that's based in the U.S. So it's still kind of, for the sake of this discussion, it's in that top row. Now in the bottom, this one's a real hot topic, and it's kind of an outlier because it does fit in this category. It is, as far as I know, it's designed, but certainly sold by a U.S. company. So there is some U.S. Related, and there's a company in the U.S. that's hiring people here in the country to get this knife to you into your pocket. But yeah, normally they are all U.S. And when they went and did this one with Reich, and you can see the Reich label there, that caused some turmoil, and I can definitely understand it. I don't necessarily fall in line with completely being angry about it, but I understand it. Certainly, there's that whole thing. We can talk about it. I mean, the whole thing about a company in China that's making these knives and how they treat their employees. I don't have like all the facts in front of me, but it does seem like our company, for instance, we are mostly in the U.S., but we do have some stuff built in India, and the reason for that is we started getting nailed. We just could not sell stuff. We used to be very international as far as shipping U.S. made products, U.S. design products all around the world. But this was years ago. I've been with this company for almost going on close to 40 years now. Long time. And back then, the Chinese companies couldn't compete with us. But for whatever reason, we can get into intellectual property and all this kind of stuff. And that's another issue too, because a lot of Chinese companies will basically, if not full on, do what do you call that when it's it pretends like it's the other one, and even sells it with a branding on it and everything like that. I can't think of the name, but you know what I'm talking about. We don't need names. What's in a name? Come on. It will come out of my head. Maybe I'll think of it while we're talking. But clones, or basically copies, where you look at the knife and go, "Oh man, that's a Strider. Oh no, wait a minute, that's made by Effingro." But it has the big EF on it, and they're not trying to pretend that it's a Strider, but it sure does look like a Strider. So I think that in our company, we had that same kind of thing where they were just kind of seeing plants around the world, and we like to call it being inspired by. So anyway, we moved some of our stuff over to India. Not quite China, but similar kind of thing. These guys don't get paid much. I've been over to the India factory. Good people. I mean, that's the thing. I haven't been to China. I don't know. But over in India, I mean, there's a lot of the similar stuff going on there. There's a Vero. This one, when you get, at least in my mind, you can see that there's some stuff in this one that's above and beyond. I think a lot of the U.S. Brands that are having OEMing done are pushing the OEM companies to higher levels, and actually these end up being a little bit more expensive because of it. But the thing is that when they send those designs over and they work with the company and say, "Hey, I want you to do this and do this, it's going to be that much better," they learn how to do it, and then they just do it on their knives too. I don't know. I mean, what is the answer to that problem? Not having things OEM'd over in China? Well, there's not a lot of places in the U.S. to go for these people, to the point where they have to sell it for $800, and it can't compete with some of the other $800 knives because it's just doesn't quite have the materials or whatever. But it's only because it's OEM'd in the United States versus China. So I understand. I mean, I work in business. I understand that we sell stuff. I understand that if we build things in China, the margins, the cost, the margins on the plant, we can sell it for less money, and therefore we'll win more bids. For us, we're doing it one at a time. It's not like assembly line stuff. Kind of a custom maker for us. But anyway, we have to bid, we have to compete, and we're able to compete better when we can drop our price and we can get better margins that way. So there is a lot of reality to it. I mean, if you aren't, working in that world, you have a kind of a different perspective. But there's a certain amount of reality kicks in, and I would love it if the United States can find a way to reduce costs without the whole slave labor thing. And I don't know all the facts. I don't like to jump on it, but it does sound like if not total slave labor, they're not paying their people very well, and the people aren't living well working for some of these companies. You only hear things in the news, and nowadays it doesn't seem like you can necessarily believe it every time you hear something. So much propaganda. I mean, obviously, if China is going to put out a story about Chinese knives, they're going to go and have a totally different angle than a U.S. company. And the truth's somewhere in the middle, right? There's like three different sides to every story. There's this side, and somewhere in the middle is the truth, right? So, I don't know. I mean, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that have a lot more information than I do about it. So we got, obviously this is the Shogun Bravo by Microtech. That's like a whole nother conversation almost. But then the Chavez knives, going to Riyadh, always good quality. This guy's got this is the 229, and it's got the kick stop where it disappears, the flipper disappears. So there's a lot of details in this. I mean, obviously they have the logo here because they are licensing out that piece, but there's internal workings here where this flipper is not, it's on like a pivot, and when it comes up it locks in place so that you can flick it out. So there's a lot of work going on in here. You got titanium, you got micarta, we got M390 steel. So materials are there, workmanship's there, extra effort into this whole mechanism thing from China in the OEM. But Chavez is, I think they're American company. I don't, I'm not trying to make any comment about anything there, but I don't know. Like this one, it's an old knives. I thought when I was going through this list that they were a Chinese company. I mean, I just don't. This is the only no knives I have. The Voodoo. I really love this knife. This is an awesome knife. I looked it up, and they're based out of New York. So I mean, it's an American company. I just didn't know enough about them. So yeah, great knife. I mean, I really like the bolster. Titanium bolster. These colors, this colorway is so awesome. Kind of somewhat similar. This is a little more green, a little more gray, but the bolster is very, very nice. The knife milling, excellent. I don't know where they're getting them OEM'd. Seems like a Bestech and Riyadh are the main ones. So I don't know. like I say, I don't know a lot about the company. I just know I like this knife. Wouldn't mind, especially now, I think, because I am influenced, right? I might want to get another one. But it is high cost. There is a big price tag there. Arcane design, the plexus. Love the designers. Israel is such a great guy. You know, he really brings a different level of design into the knife game. And of course, Elijah Isham collaborating on this one is just amazing. That slot down the middle. I mean, it's just very, very cool. And of course, Jack Wolf knives. People complain about the cost. Just imagine if he was getting it made in the United States. I mean, the quality, they're not complaining about the quality. No. I've never heard anybody complain that Jack Wolf knives have bad quality. Materials, design, the sourcing of different handle scales, just brilliant artistic work. I am definitely, sold on this stuff, but it is a little more pricey. It happens to be in my price range, and Jack Wolf knives, for what it's worth, did help me to get up into that price range, because I just couldn't stop myself. Which scares me about buying something like a Roosevelt or something like that, because I may draw me deeper down that rabbit hole. And of course, a Vero with the Timascus, with this coolest circles kind of interacting to each other on the milling, and even on the you got all these chamfers, and they just follow that pattern down the chamfers. It's just beautiful work, beautiful design, awesome knife. This is the Axon, I think. Double check it. Where is it on here? Oh, did it drop off the bottom of the list? Yeah. Oh no, it's the Impulse. This is the Impulse. Yeah, because it has like a little different. I mean, I'm used to that other Vero design. A blade, it's a little bit different, but very cool. Nice big knife. I love this knife. I love Vero's designs. Really good stuff. Yeah, sure. I would probably love some of these companies more but I think that as far as OEM game is concerned, it's hard to get things OEM'd in the United States, and it's pretty obvious because these great companies are not getting things OEM'd. Obviously, Microtech has their own manufacturing. To the best of my knowledge, I could be wrong, but so decision making on this one, I'm not sure where it went, and clearly they backed out of it. I think they've canceled their contract. They may have just dabbled with it to see what could happen. But yeah, so I think that American-made knives is you just make them in-house type thing, and that's the way it works. But not everybody who is a knife designer has that ability to make that jump to that manufacturing side. So it is what it is. I'm super happy that all these knives exist. Clearly, I like American-made and USA brand companies. I like USA brand companies made in China, but the quality of the Chinese knives is good. So I don't know what to say. Why don't you let me know what you think? Am I wrong? I could be wrong. In my heart, I'm a little bit, you may be able to tell from the way I'm talking about it. I'm a little bit torn on this whole subject. So, yeah, just let me know. I think it's a great subject. I think it's worth it, really honestly thinking about. I mean, be honest. Be honest to yourself. Be self-aware. Don't just believe something because you think it's cool to believe it. Actually, believe it. And I love, that's integrity, and I love integrity. I think it's one of the best human, traits you can have. But you can't just go and say, "Oh, I hate all Chinese knives because they're China and China and China." Really think about it. If you think about it and you say, I don't like the way they operate. I don't like the fact that we're spending money and it's going out of the country and being used from a country that may be considered an enemy. All these things are very valid points. So you don't need to just say it just because it's China. You can actually think about it and have some great arguments for it. And so that's what it is. Don't get mad. Just think and let me know what you think. Okay? All right, you guys, take it easy, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.